There isn't a massive variety of water sports games that were released on the PlayStation, and with the few that do exist mainly contribute to racing games where you race with the likes of powerboats. You would have like Rapid Race or VR Sports, Powerboat Racing, to name but a few. But there are very few actual water sports games with regards to the likes of surfing and the like. There's only a handful of them that were available. So one game that does come to mind, which we will look at here, is known as Surf Riders, which was also released in Japan as Max Surfing 2000. There was a game that was published first of all in Japan in 1999 and then later in North America and Europe in 2000 that gives players the ability to catch waves using a surfboard to try and compete against other surfers in different tournaments by trying to stay afloat as long as possible, but also performing a variety of tasks, endurance, and just trying to change up the variety of what they can do to get the best overall outcomes while competing in tournaments or even playing in the multiplayer mode against your mates. And while it does have some unique ideas, the game in many ways is heavily flawed, and which consists of the reviews that it got, stating that the game is very difficult to pick up and play, which it is. But at the same time, if you do manage to master it, which very few do, it can be quite addictive. But the learning curve to get into this game is at an all-time high. Probably one of the most difficult to pick up and play games you will ever play on the PlayStation. And it's the reason why the reviews were as low as they were, because many people coming into this, even though it does give you hints and tips of what to do in order to get started, but it's just some of the move sets are so hard to execute, and a lot of it is down to timing. Like, you can shoot up on a wave to try and land at the top and try and come back down, but the chances of you pulling it off are very, very slim. Like, even for myself, having spent time playing this, for the first 20 or so minutes I could not for the life of me figure out what to do. It was just falling into the waves again and again and again and again, and eventually then when I went into the tournament mode I managed to gradually just get going. But trying to pull off tricks and moves is very difficult, because if you do, you will always fail, because you always start off literally with your stomach on the board, and then you have to press the triangle button to try and jump onto the board, but you have to also do it in a way that's timing based, because if you do it wrong you'll fall off the board and instantly have to restart. But what you need to do is make sure that when you're trying to jump up on the board that you don't press any other buttons other than the triangle button, so that you can plant your legs down, so that you can start to move the board around and gain some sort of momentum. So as the waves are getting thicker and heavier and faster, your goal is to try and maintain your balance while keeping as close to the waves as possible, while also performing tricks. But you will get points based off of sticking as close to the edge of the wave, even in many cases going under it, because it will loop over itself. So even at that, it's pretty cool. And when you get the hang of that you can maintain to a certain degree, but then as soon as you try to do a move or a trick or a flip, it's pretty much game over. If you do manage to do it, let's just put it this way, it will take a lot of attempts before you'll even be able to pull off one good move. Like, even though in the game there's different beaches that you can surf at in different locations within countries like Australia and France and Japan and California and so forth, but it makes no difference. It doesn't matter what you do, the game is just difficult, it's just tough, and a lot of people won't enjoy it for what it tries to do, because it's so frustrating. Like, the learning curve for this game is honestly ridiculous. Only hardcore fans of this sport, and for those that have patience, will get something out of it, but not before you lose your mind playing it. Like, I don't like to hate or slate games. Once you do get into it, again, it takes time to get there. I can see why it can be addictive. Once you start to figure things out, you'll find that you want to keep playing it, but then when you keep falling into the water and messing up moves over and over again, you'll quickly just get fed up. You're just like, go on to something else. I suppose it's one of those games that would be good in short bursts, but the problem is with that is that the pick up and play appeal is so difficult that it will just throw you off pretty much from the first time you try it. So it definitely is not for everybody. That's the one thing I will definitely put out there right now. It will appeal to a select few, mainly fans of this sport, but it definitely won't appeal. If it was easier to pick up and play, then yeah, I could see the value behind it, but because it's so difficult, and again with the clunkiness of the controls and the sensitiveness of the controls, it makes it even more unplayable in many regards. So that in itself would be clear enough reason for many people to stay away from it. And if people do buy it, it'd only be hardcore gamers or just people looking to add it to their collection. But it is what it is. It's a game that tried to do something a wee bit different and tried to appeal to a certain dynamic, but just wasn't executed the way that it could have been. And again, like, it will only appeal to a select few. But for those of you out there that have played this, I would love to know your thoughts on it and what you think of it overall. Did you find it equally as frustrating as the rest of us, or were you able to manage it to some degree? So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you would like to see more content around more of these unusual and quirky extreme sports games that were also released on the PlayStation, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.